Our drama begins in 1997, in a modest, friendly neighborhood where everyone knows each other because they're all neighbors. But our girl Xiaoyu was new to the area, having just moved in with her family, and she felt that everything around her was strange. At home, she asked her mother for some money to buy her school uniform, but her mother refused, saying that amount was too much, and she definitely wouldn't spend it on a school outfit. She told her to make do with her old clothes. Yes, that's her family, just a bit poor, which is what made her life difficult. On the other side, we meet Chung, who was riding his bicycle but went flying off it because a group of bullies were chasing him, wanting to take the prize he had won. In the end, they caught him, all thanks to Chio, the leader of the gang. He even came down and said, "So, little mama's boy, are you going to give us that prize nicely, or should we take it the not-so-nice way?" They all laughed. After all, this hopeless gang were his friends, but their jokes were a bit too heavy. Meanwhile, Xiaoyu was standing with her father, who was holding fireworks and wanted her to light them. Chung arrived, and our girl accidentally bumped into him as she lit the fireworks. But bless him, he said it was fine and not to worry. Then came Chio, who, if you ask me, has something suspicious going on in his intestines, and said to Chung, "Hey, stupid, can't even light a few firecrackers?" But instead of setting them off for them, she had lit them somewhere else. I said his intestines were suspicious, but it turned out something else was instead. Just his nature, I guess. Later, our girl went home with her mother to check on Ching. He was lying on his stomach, and while bullying her, he said, "How about I blow up your watermelon like you did to me?" His father yelled at him, but his aunt apologized to them and was about to give them money for treatment. However, his uncle refused to take it, so she left the money with his son and walked away. The next day, our girl went to school, arriving late. The teacher asked her to take attendance so she could learn the names of her new classmates. But when she pronounced Chio's name, she said T-Pai, and right then he entered through the window and told her she couldn't even read and asked why she even went to school. Such a disappointment. After class, she got to know a girl and they were leaving the classroom together when Chio pulled her aside, put his hand over her mouth, and kept threatening her that if she told anyone about the fireworks incident, he would turn her into kofta fingers and eat her with some tahini. When she went to fill water, it was hot, so Chung came and told her to be careful, treating her politely, unlike certain other people. As they walked together, someone bumped into her, spilling the water on Chio in the exact same spot as before. He told her, "No, this time you did it on purpose, and I swear I won't let you off." So she went to Chung to give him some anti-inflammatory ointment for Chio, saying he had to use it because ever since she blew up his thing, he had been in pain. Their classmate overheard and said, "What did you blow up for him?" Oh, he heard them loud and clear. Might as well give him a microphone. And of course, with her terrible luck, Chio was standing there listening and kept swearing at her until the next day when she slipped at school. He grabbed her leg and said to everyone, "Look, she tore her shoe," and kept bothering her. But then Chung came, told them to leave her alone, and offered her his hand to help her up. In the teacher's office, the teacher told Xiaoyu that her grades here had dropped, even though she had always been first in her old school. But the education system here was faster than other schools, so she couldn't keep up. He suggested she consider going back to her old school because if she stayed, she might not get into a good university. After that, she sat alone, her eyes tearing up from the teacher's words, until Chung came, wanting to give her his shoes to temporarily fix hers. But he noticed her shoes had glue on them, so she took them from him and went to hit her younger brother because he was the one who had torn them and glued them, which was why they ripped so easily when she slipped. But her mother scolded her for hitting a little kid, while she yelled back that they loved her brother more and cared for him more. She ran out of the house until she saw her father working, and his friend was telling him it seemed like his son's school fees were expensive. Her father replied, "Nothing is too expensive for my son. His future is the most important thing." When he saw Xiaoyu, he was surprised, but she ran while crying. He followed her and tried to understand what was wrong, so she told him all her problems, that they favored her brother over her, sent him to an expensive school, and treated her like an extra person in the house. But of course that wasn't the truth. Her father told her that he worked hard to make sure they were educated because he himself had never been educated, and that he would keep helping and supporting her because he lived in this world for her. She felt she had been wrong and decided from then on to study and get the highest grades to make her father happy. But her friend told her not to worry because Chen, the unlucky one, was always the last in the class. Of course, she still needed help, but her classmate told her it would be hard for her to tutor someone. Then Chio, the suspicious one, kept bullying her, saying, "People like you can even pass? You can barely read." But Cheng stood up for her and decided to help her with her studies, while Chio decided to help his friend Chen. The next day, when she was running late for school, Chen decided to walk her there. As for Chio, he stole our girl's test paper with her score to see how she answered. But she also stole Chen's paper, so he ran after her shouting, "Come here, you thief! I swear I'll pull out your hair." But her friend told her that he had also stolen her paper, so they kept holding on to each other until Chio said, "If anyone sees you like this, they'd think you're fighting for first place. Curse the both of you. You're competing for last place." On the day of the exam, Chio planned to help Chen cheat so he wouldn't remain in last place. But with his terrible luck, when he threw the answers to him, the paper landed next to our girl's seat. She didn't know what to do, so she decided to pull the paper away to stop them from cheating, but the teacher saw her and told her to move her leg, then decided to fail her in the exam. She went home devastated because of that jerk who had been cheating, but her mother believed she hadn't cheated. Her father bought her new shoes and told her not to cry, and that her mother would go tomorrow and talk to the teacher. The next day, when they went, they found Chio and Chen standing there explaining to the teacher that they were the ones cheating. So he scolded them and decided to give both of them a 0. Later, as she was walking home, she saw Chung standing with Chio and heard him say, "We agreed to teach Xiao Yu and Chen in exchange for the game card, so give it to me now since I kept my promise to you." She said, "Gotcha! So you did all that because of this?" Just then, Chio's father arrived and said, "So you've been cheating, you useless boy? Come here, I'll raise you all over again. Hit him, uncle, he's been ruining our lives." At school, our girl was sitting listening to music. So our troublemaker friend pulled the headphones out of her ears and ran off, telling her to come and get them if she dared. She ran after him in front of the whole school and took them back from him. His friend said, "She's really fast. She's the one who should join us in the sports event." Turns out they were testing her speed. After that, he went to talk to her to convince her to join the running competition, but she refused because she couldn't stand him. But the guy didn't give up. He brought her food and water and told her he wanted to talk to her about something. She told him she knew exactly what it was, and if he brought it up, she'd crack his head open. What did he think of that? But he tried another approach, telling her that sports activities would earn her extra points, instead of having her grades look so awful. She told him to get out of the way because she had studying to do. Her grades were indeed awful, and she needed to improve them. As he tried to convince her, her music player fell. She snapped and told him, "I swear on your mother's life, I won't join the competition. Let's see what you'll do." At home, her player wouldn't work, so she went to his window and shouted, "Come down, you idiot, come down!" He asked her why she was making noise so early in the morning, calling her sweetie. She shouted at him, saying her tape player wasn't working, and that she'd smash his head in right now. He told her to calm down, sweetie, or he'd come down and suck her face right there in the street. She told him he would do it, since he was shameless. Just then, Chung came to calm things down, telling them to relax because they were like family and friends. But our girl got upset and was about to leave, so Chen apologized for his bet with Chio about her studying. She told him she wasn't really upset because they had helped her improve her grades anyway. In return, he told her not to be upset and that he would fix her music player. In the sports field, she was about to help Chung lift the pole, but of course our troublemaker had to tease her, saying, "What pole are you going to lift with your 155 centimeters height? You can barely raise your arms." She told him to respect himself. She was 164 centimeters. He said, "Okay then, Miss 64 centimeters, let's set the pole to your height, and if Ching can jump over it, you have to go buy us food from outside during break without the teacher noticing." She agreed to stand there, and to her shock, Chung jumped over it like a monkey. You'd think he was raised in the trees, so she had no choice but to go buy the food. Meanwhile, our troublemaker went to the teacher's office to get back his device that the teacher had confiscated when he was playing with it in class, But someone suddenly came, so he hid in front of the window. At that moment, the teacher was coming back and our girl was arriving from outside. She saw him hanging up there, so she went over to distract the teacher and explained that she had bought the food because she was hungry. But he didn't believe her since it was a lot of food, so she started eating from it to convince him. Just as she was eating, our boy climbed down and told the teacher someone was trying to escape over the school fence. As soon as he left, she felt sick from eating so much and clutched her stomach. He asked her what she was doing and she told him to stop messing around. He said it was first aid, you ignoramus. And then she ended up throwing up everything, right on him. So much for first aid. It was wasted on him. At home, she was washing his t-shirt by hand when her younger brother caught her and said, "So, now you're washing boys' t-shirts too? I'm telling Mom." He ran off, shouting that she liked a boy and was washing his shirt. He climbed up a tree and stayed there, so she was afraid he would fall. Then our troublemaker passed by and told him to let go, saying he would catch him, and he actually did catch the boy. But when he tried to catch our girl, she fell right on top of him. She told him, "You don't matter. What's important is that I'm fine." One day, Ching came to help her while she was walking, and they talked about the race. It turned out to be an important race because Kyo considered it a matter of honor and pride for the school, as the other team had insulted them the previous year. So she decided to join them. The next day, she was waiting for them at the field and told them they better not have replaced her. They told her, "Of course not." Even our troublemaker said, "Your orders, sweetie. Whatever you want, you'll get." From then on, they started training. One time, she gave him back his t-shirt after washing it, and his friend assumed they were together and started teasing them. He ran after the friend to hit him, but bumped into the principal, who made him stand still and behave. Once they were sure the principal had gone, Chung grabbed him and said, "So you're telling the teacher we're troublemakers? Who do you think you are, sprouting wings?" Then they all ganged up on him, but just then, the teacher and principal passed by again, so they crouched down quickly. The next day at the competition, our girl was bringing drinks for everyone, but the girls from the rival team deliberately tripped her, and the drinks spilled on another girl. She kept apologizing to her, but the girl was kind and told her it was okay. Unfortunately, it wasn't okay. Her leg swelled up from the hit. She went to tell Chi Yu, but he was upset that she had spilled the drinks and told her to focus on the race because she was their last hope. She stayed silent and didn't tell him about her injury, since she couldn't let them down. The race began, and she pushed herself to run, thinking about them and how happy they would be with the win. She managed to reach the handoff point right on time before everyone else, and Chi Yu started running after her, overtaking everyone and winning the race. At that moment, our girl collapsed on the ground because of her injury, so Chung and Chi Yu took her to the clinic. Chi Yu scolded her for not telling him. What if her leg had been seriously damaged from the strain? After they won their medals, they were standing around joking when their friend came and told them to run, because the principal had found out they joined the race behind his back, even though he had warned them and refused to let them participate. Now he was coming to make their lives miserable, so they carried Xiaogu and ran off with her like a sack of rice. One day, they were coming back from school and saw the barber shop crowded. It turned out that our beloved Dubsha's mother had returned from her trip, and people had crowded the shop because they loved her, and she always brought them gifts when she came back. Dub asked her if she had brought him a PlayStation, and was happy when she said yes, running home right away. Our girl greeted her and left. That's when Xiaogu's mother overheard Chi Yu's mother saying that they needed to choose a college major for their kids and couldn't just let them pick anything randomly. This made her worried, so she decided to take our girl to someone who could help them find a good major and explain how she could get into university. But as soon as she sat in the place, she felt like she was sitting with a charlatan. She thought, is this guy helping them get into college or casting out hidden spirits? Anyway, they went in, and our girl started to suspect he was a scammer because he was trying to make money off them, and she said so to her mom right in front of him. So he decided to get back at her and told her mom to give her garlic juice every day, saying she'd get into college with her eyes closed. Her aunt didn't need to be told twice. She basically turned the house into a garlic farm, making her have garlic for breakfast and garlic for dinner. When she went to study with Cheng, Dubsh kept bothering her, saying her smell was spreading everywhere and telling her to go wash her mouth with bleach. She went right up to him and blew in his face to shut him up. On New Year's Eve, it was cold outside, and as she stepped out, she fell flat on her face. Chiyu saw her and said, "Starting the year off clumsy, huh?" But he decided to take her to celebrate New Year's with him in Qing because he felt she was upset, telling her not to be sad and to try to cheer up. She thought, "I listened to you, but I have to see for myself. What's with you being so smooth?" Anyway, when she went up to the rooftop, she found they had decorated the place and were drinking alcohol. She told him, "You guys are already not innocent, and now this?" But he told her they'd be 18 soon, so what was her problem? Then Chung handed her a drink too, and she didn't refuse. Suddenly, both she and Chiyu sneezed, so Chung took off his gloves and gave them to her, worried she'd get cold. Then Dupsh, not wanting to stay quiet, put his scarf around her but ended up choking her with it, so she got up and hit him. She thought, "I knew you weren't genuinely nice." Days passed, and everyone was studying hard to prepare for the college entrance exam. On the day of the exam, our girl was ready to leave, but her mom insisted she drink garlic juice. As for Chung, he was about to ride his bike after seeing his mom off, but he ran into Chiyu and his dad outside, and they told him to come with them in the taxi. He felt shy and said he'd rather go by bike. Meanwhile, our girl's stomach started hurting from the garlic, so Chiyu's dad saw her, went to get her medicine, and took her quickly to the exam. As for Chung, while riding his bike, a car almost hit him, but when he swerved to avoid it, it ended up hitting another man instead. At that moment, everything went dark for him, and he couldn't move for a few moments. Then he pulled himself together and tried to save the man, calling an ambulance. Even the driver was injured. But the other man's injury was worse because his leg was trapped under the car and his daughter was crying. He tried to calm her until the ambulance arrived and pushed the car away from the man's leg, but he couldn't. When the ambulance came, he took his belongings and went to the exam, injured in his hand, but it was too late and they wouldn't let him in. The principal and Xiao Gu's father kept trying to persuade the man to let him take the exam because he had been in an accident, but the man refused due to the rules. A fight broke out between them, and our girl's father wanted to force his way in, but they stopped him. When he went home and his mother found out what happened, she remembered her husband who had died in a similar accident. So she told him not to worry and went to cook for him as if nothing had happened. At dinner, she told him he had done the right thing because he could retake the exam, but that family might have to live the rest of their lives without that man. The next day, everyone went with Chung to his exam, telling him to do his best in the remaining tests and not to think about the one he missed. They told his mother not to worry because they'd get him there safely, but she was still worried and decided to go with him herself. On results day, our girl was sitting nervously while her father tallied her scores, but she had gotten enough marks to enter college. She started jumping with joy, but that night, everyone gathered, feeling down because Chung had locked himself away after the results and refused to see anyone. She wanted to think of a way to cheer him up, so she sat with the rest of her friends to come up with an idea. She decided that traveling would be the best option because he had always wanted to see the sea. They went to his house to drag him out of bed to join them. At the train station, she took all their money so she could be the trip manager and spend it her way. On the train, she sat with her friend reading a book and saw a line that said, "When you love someone, your heart beats, and you're drawn to them as if you're enchanted by them." So our girl gets shy whenever she's close to Chung and keeps looking at him, feeling like all those words are about him. But Dupsh's brother saw her staring at him, so he smacked her on the head. Anyway, the train arrived and she got up to grab her bag, but she almost fell, so Chung caught her and held her hand. She got hot and flustered, burning up, and Dupsh didn't miss the chance to say, "What's wrong with you? Why are you blushing and breathing like that? Do you have a fever or what?" She left him and walked away. When they got off the train, she realized her bag was missing. It had fallen on the train, and it had all the money she'd collected from them to make her own plan. They thought about going back home, but Chiyu held her head and told her, "Don't forget we came here to cheer up Chung." She told them, "Let's at least enjoy one day and go to the sea." She took them and they started climbing a mountain. She was explaining the path to them when she fell on her back and found the locals offering their hands to help her up. But she took Chiyu's hand because she was shy around Chung. After walking for a while, they heard the sound of the sea and ran toward it. They couldn't believe they were seeing the sea for the first time in their lives. They ran happily and kept playing and joking together. Before sunset, her friend thought about wanting to stay longer than one day, so our girl found a solution. She went to a restaurant near the shore and asked the owner to let them work there just for today since they didn't have money. They kept persuading him until he agreed. While she was cutting fish, she cut herself, and Dubsh ran over to her, telling her to be more careful, and went to get a bandage. Dubsh wasn't acting like Dubsh at all anymore. We've really changed, Luigi. But Chung had gotten to her first and put a bandage on her from what he had, then sat back down. Meanwhile, in their neighborhood, the college acceptance letters had arrived. Chi-Yu's mom was shocked because he got into a university she hadn't expected. Back at the seaside, they were buying things after getting paid, and our girl liked a hair clip, but Chi-Yu teased her, saying it looked ugly, so it would probably suit her. She left it and walked away, but he made everyone leave and went back to buy it for her. In front of the sea, Chung told her, "Come on, let's go get firewood from over there together." So she went with him. She was looking at his shadow, and he stretched out his hand so that in their shadow on the ground, it would look like she was holding his hand. At night, after they set up the tents, they played a game, and it was our girl's turn to answer. Her friend asked her if she liked someone, and our girl replied that she liked a singer, but her friend told her to stop fooling around and say who she really liked. She said she liked Chung, then quickly added that she meant Chung the actor, not their Chung. At night, they went to sleep, but our girl got sick in the middle of the night and left the tent. Chung was still awake, so he took her to a nearby clinic, gave her medicine, and made sure she was covered up because she'd caught a cold. The doctor told him, "Your girlfriend is lucky to have you." But Chung didn't reply or say she was just his friend, which made her even happier. The next day, they returned at sunrise and were happy because it was the first time they'd ever seen the sunrise. But their friends had been looking for them, and as soon as they saw them, they told them that Jia and Joe had gotten sick and gone to the clinic during the night. Chi-Yu asked them, "Then where's Chung? Why didn't he come back with you?" But he hadn't been with them at all from the start. They kept searching for him until they found a letter he had left. They hurried to the train station to catch him, but he had already left. In his letter, he said he wasn't accepted into university because his grades were bad, and his father was going to take him to another city to learn a trade since he had failed in education. He said he chose this way of saying goodbye so it wouldn't make things harder for them or make him feel worse. They took the next train after him, feeling sad because they had now been separated. When they got back to the neighborhood, Chi-Yu was about to give her the hair clip, but then he saw Ching giving her a gift, so he decided not to give her anything. Just then, their parents came out and told them that the three of them had been accepted into the same university, but Chi-Yu's father walked away angrily because his son had chosen a major other than medicine without telling him. He chased him through the neighborhood. One day, our girl was packing her clothes to move into the university dorm. Her brother was happy because her room would become his, and he started bringing in his things, but he put his bag on Cheng's gift and broke it. She grabbed him and pushed him, so their mother came to scold her, telling her the house would finally get some peace once she left. Our girl yelled back, saying, "You're always like this. You love him more and favor him over me." And she left crying. Chung saw her crying and went to see what was wrong. As for Chi-Yu, he saw her crying from the window, so he came down to her and the two of them stayed with her. On the bus, people were staring at her and laughing, so Chi-Yu stood up and said to them, "Mind your own business. What, is this the first time you've seen someone cry?" Then he stood in front of her and told her, "Cry all you want, Enshira." After that, they took her to the dorm, but Chung had to leave, so Chi-Yu stayed with her, took the opportunity, and gave her the hair clip. She was surprised he bought it, since he had said it wasn't nice, so he told her, "Yeah, I just wanted you to see for yourself when you wear it, that it looks awful." She kicked him out and told him, "All right, get out of here." The next day, her friends started arriving at the dorm and she felt lonely, but then Tao and her friend came and ended up in the same place with her, so she was happy she wouldn't be alone. Then they went out shopping and they wanted to buy a scarf, but it was expensive, so they left. The shop owner told them, "Come back, I'll sell it to you for a cheaper price." But our girl refused, because it wasn't that nice anyway. The man got angry at them, and just then, the girl our heroine had spilled drinks on before at the sports event, remember her, came and told the man, "I'll call the police if you don't watch your mouth." And she pulled them away from him. He respected himself and left. It turned out that this girl was also at the same university as them, which was a very nice coincidence. When they returned to the dorm, they saw Haj Dabesh sitting with his door open, bragging that he had a TV in his room. Then, his roommate June, who wasn't wearing clothes, appeared, so Dabesh quickly told her, "Don't look." After June got dressed, they introduced themselves to each other, and then Chung showed up too. They were happy they could see each other again. At night, Chi-Yu and June were watching TV, but the dorm lights were turned off so the students could sleep. June told him, "Do something, we want to keep watching the show." So they went and stole an electrical cable and hooked up the TV again. While they were sitting there, at the most crucial moment in the scene, the dorm manager came in and said, "Come here, what are you doing?" They jumped in shock as if they had seen a ghost, of course. The dorm manager punished them, took away their TV, and completely exposed them. And not just that, while our girl was walking with Tao, they found their names written on the board, saying they had stolen an electrical cable. I mean, seriously, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Naturally, our girl was thrilled to find something to make fun of him for, but he told her, "Shut up, Scandal, you'll embarrass us." Then while they were walking, they saw many clubs in the university, including the basketball club. Our girl wanted to join the basketball club, but Dabesh told her, "Sit down, sweetie, with your height, you're going to play basketball." Then a girl named Shindo came up and told him, "Who said girls can't join the club? And besides, you're not even tall yourself. Come see how the rest of the guys look." So he grabbed the ball and threw it from far away, and it went straight into the basket. Of course, even he couldn't believe it himself, and walked off saying, "I got it by luck, I swear. Let's run away before they think I'm a pro." But Shindo kept him in mind and decided to get him to join their team. She offered again the next day, but he acted all high and mighty and said, "All right, I'll think about it." As for our girl, she went to see Chung in the library where he works to invite him to dinner that night and confess her love to him. But then a girl came to buy books and asked him to help her. Our girl told her to get them for her instead, but the girl got annoyed and had hidden a note with her number among the money she gave him. But our polite guy refused her politely, so our girl felt that a lot of girls liked him and they were prettier than her, and if he was rejecting them, then what would he do with her? She decided not to confess and stayed quiet. Then she went to the court to see Chi-Yu and asked him to have dinner with her, but he refused, so she got upset because she would end up spending her birthday alone. That night, she sat in the dorm cooking ramyeon until she heard the sound of the door. It turned out to be her friends because, of course, they wouldn't forget her birthday. They took her to celebrate and have dinner together. While they were sitting, Lin Yu, her roommate, saw someone she knew and got up quickly. But as she was leaving, she bumped into a thug and he started acting tough, wanting to pick a fight. John acted all macho, and so did Kamal. But they realized they couldn't handle them. So they ran away. While they were running, Cheng reached out his hand for Xiaoyu to hold. At the same time, Chi-Yu also reached out his hand, but she only saw Cheng's hand. When they got far enough, they found there was no one chasing them after all, and they had managed to escape. Later, our girl returned to the dorm to find her mom waiting for her. She apologized for what she had done and asked if she still hated her, but Xiaoyu didn't hate her. She loved her, but she felt her mom didn't love her back. But her mom said, "How could I not love you? You're my daughter," and made up with her, because she had no one more precious. One day, she went to the court to give Chung some water, but the girl who liked him got there first and gave it to him. At that moment, Shindo was about to give your brother Dabesh water, but he left her and went to take the bottle from our girl instead. She told him, "Move, what's wrong with you? She's giving it to him, not you." But he still drank from it and tossed it to Chung afterward, because Chung didn't want to take the water from the other girl. Our girl took it from him and said she'd drink it herself. She decided she had to confess to him quickly because there were so many girls around who might take him away from her. Later, while they were eating, they saw Lin Yu pass by and called her over. She looked exhausted because she had a very difficult sports class in her department. Our girl told her, "You're right, sports is really hard, But Debesh jumped in and said, "Everything is hard for you, Miss Ignorance." So our girl threw the closest thing she could grab at him to make him behave, then told Lin Yu that Chung could help her since he was good at sports. At that moment, Tao and her friend nearly lost it because she was practically handing the guy over to her, and they could end up liking each other. So she pulled her aside and told her to go to the kiosk next to the video store and pretend she was buying something for her so she could confess to Chung there. She went with him, but she was like an owl, couldn't get a word out, and ended up just leaving. The next day, she decided to make him small origami stars and put them in a jar based on her friend's advice. When she saw him, he was explaining the lesson to her, and she was lost in his good looks. He told her, "Are you with me or what? I'm going to the bathroom. Make sure you snap out of it by the time I get back." So she quickly took out the jar and put it in front of his chair. When he came back, he picked it up, and she asked him if he liked it. He told her no, things like that only appeal to girls. She went to the bathroom feeling upset. One time she was sitting on the stairs when Chi Yu came from behind, deepened his voice, and said to her, "Excuse me, miss, can I pass?" As soon as she got up, she fell down the stairs because the gentleman pushed her with his knee. She put her hand on her head, wanting to grab him and hit him, but he told her it was no big deal. She didn't really fall. She was like a monkey anyway. She grabbed him to start a fight because she'd had enough of his behavior. He told her to act a little more like a girl and stop being violent. She grabbed his ear and asked him why his face was so red. He pulled away from her and said he had a basketball game and didn't have time for her. She followed him because she wanted to see Chung and decided to sneak around to find out where Chung's locker was. She found him standing in front of her, then he finished and left. She went in after him and thought, "I'll put the jar here, and he'll understand that I like him." But John caught her, so she quickly left. But instead of keeping it to himself, John decided to expose her. He went and pulled Debesh by the hand and told him, "Look, she put a jar in your locker. She's confessing her love to you. Drink it in, sister." It turned out it wasn't Chung's locker at all. And in her cluelessness, she kept wondering why Chung hadn't replied to her yet, since she'd given him the jar, and her friend had put the note for him. She went with Tao to check the locker, but they saw a girl coming out with some letters and throwing them in the trash. That's when they realized he hadn't seen them at all. The fool had put the jar in one place, and Tao had put the note in another. Tao asked her what she was going to do, and she said it didn't matter. She'd tell him after the game that she liked him so she wouldn't distract him now. At that moment, Chiyu was standing there and took her words as if she were talking about him. Because, well, the guilty one always thinks it's about them. Anyway, after that, John and Tao were riding the motorcycle and had an accident. So our girl's friends went to check on them, but she said they couldn't go empty-handed. At least they should bring 2 kilos of bananas. They told her to go get the 2 kilos of bananas herself, so she went with Chung. Chung was walking next to her like a hero from a romance novel, with the light hitting his face just enough to make her fall for him even more, until he jumped to grab a leaf and play music with it. She tried to do the same, but she was too short, so he tried to teach her. And when he saw there was no hope, he got one for her himself. They went to visit their friends, and after visiting, they left the hospital. Chung went to work, while our girl and Chi Yu kept walking together. She told him she'd come to cheer for him on the day of the match and that she wanted him to succeed. But he had to grant her wish after the game. She grabbed his shoulder, which made him nervous, and he told her she didn't know how to walk quietly. On the day of the match, our girl and her friends went to cheer for him. They started playing well, but there was a big point gap between them and the other team. Chi Yu started scoring a lot to reduce the gap. During the break, the coach changed their positions. When they returned to the game, our girl encouraged him and told him he had to win. He started thinking about her while playing until he tied with the other team. There were only 30 seconds left to decide the winner, but our boy managed to get the ball into the basket at the last moment, and his team won. Notice that this is the first time I've called Debesh our boy, but let's consider him ours for now. When he misbehaves, we'll go back to calling him Dabesh. Anyway, after the game ended, our girl went to the boys' room and saw Chung standing in front of the locker, drying his hair. She hugged him, confessed her love, and asked him not to turn around because she was embarrassed and couldn't face him, then ran off quickly. But she bumped into Chung outside. I was shocked, completely shocked. She told him, "Good day to you. What are you doing here now?" When she looked behind her, she saw our boy Debesh coming out of the room, so she ran off saying, "Oh no, I'm in big trouble, Mom." She went to cry to her friend about the disaster she'd caused, but they came up with a solution. She should call him on the phone. But when she called, his friend answered and went to tell him that Xiaoyu wanted to meet him tomorrow in front of the library. He was over the moon. The next day, he blow-dried his hair forward, wore his father's old striped shirt from the last century, and went to wait for her, thinking he was all stylish and imagining girls were dying over him. But when he saw her running past, he grabbed her from behind and said, "Hey, can't you see me standing right here?" She was about to speak when he told her, "It's not proper to talk about these things here. I'll take you to a nice place for breakfast, and we can talk freely." He pulled her by force, and they got on the bus. When he noticed her bag was heavy, he took it from her by force, and she wanted to burn herself from embarrassment. Every time the bus moved, he would grab her until he finally made her sit in a seat left by a man who got up. When they reached the restaurant, he ordered the most expensive food for her, but she suddenly shocked him by saying she had been playing Truth or Dare with her friend and chose Dare, so she came to confess to him. The guy who had been in seventh heaven was instantly dropped into the seventh hell. Poor thing, trying to save face, said, "I already knew. How could I even like someone like you? You look like my lizard-like aunt I can't stand." She said, "Perfect, then let's eat." He replied, "Eat? God, you kill my appetite," and pulled the meat away from in front of her. When they returned on the bus, she nearly fell, and he didn't hold her hand, just let her fall. Even when a security guard got off and left a seat empty, he stayed sitting, and she remained standing, shocked at how he was treating her after being nice that morning. One day, she was buying music tapes to sing in the competition, and the girl here chose a tape Chung liked. She kept practicing the instrument and the song, but it was taking too long. It had already been 2 weeks. Even the delivery guy in Daki would have memorized it by now. She kept practicing with Chi Yu, and he taught her sweetly until one time she hurt her hand. She told him it was fine, but he said, "Then no more playing." She grabbed him and said, "Nothing is more important than the competition right now." Because of course she wanted to confess to Chung with this song. It wasn't just an ordinary competition for her, so our boy went to get something to treat her wound. One day, he went out and heard her playing outside while she was sitting and singing, thinking she was a mere aide, until she got close to him and found he had paper stuffed in his ears. She got shocked and they fell on top of each other, but she didn't get up and said to him, "So all this time you've been avoiding hearing me, huh? Pretending you were listening?" He replied, "Is that voice of yours even worth listening to? I've developed hearing loss, and I even have an ear, nose, and throat checkup in an hour." At the dorm, he was looking at a picture of Xiaoju in a book until our girl came in. He panicked, but it turned out she had just brought him food because he had a cold. He went out to wash his face, and when he came back, he saw her about to open the book, so he pulled it from her and hid it, like he was hiding an adult magazine. That would only make her more suspicious of him. Anyway, on the day of the competition, as soon as Chi Yu saw her, he grabbed her cheeks and said, "Put some lipstick on me, Sadia. You've gone wild and smoked some weed." Then Chung told him, "Let her go, don't be nasty." And he dropped the gift from his hands. When she looked at it, she found a hat and got happy because she thought he got her this gift, since he had asked her before what gift to get for a girl he liked, and she told him a hat. But unfortunately, the gift was for Lin Yu and her friend. When she went up to sing, she said this song was for someone here, and looked at him, but saw Lin Yu sitting next to him wearing the hat. Her eyes started tearing up, but she tried to hold herself together and sing. In the end, everyone felt that something was wrong, even though she sang beautifully. Chi Yu decided to act, and asked John to help him talk to Tao, since she probably knew. They kept dragging it out of her until they learned she cried because the guy she liked turned out to like another girl. She warned them not to tell anyone or she'd set them on fire while they were awake. As for our girl, she was about to get on the bus and saw Chung, so she ran away from him. But then Lin Yu came and asked her why she was standing there like that, so she had to stand with them and get on the bus too. Suddenly, While on the bus, Lin Yu spotted a woman, ran after her, and pulled her by the hair to get her away from her family, because her father had left them because of this woman. Our girl and Chung tried to pull her away, but the woman pushed our girl until they managed to pull her back with difficulty. After that, Chung began treating Lin Yu's wounds, but Lin Yu noticed our girl's hand had twisted. Chung was about to get something to wrap her hand, but she told them it didn't matter and asked him to treat her friend's wound first. That night at home, she found Teacher Dopsch throwing stones at her window, so she went down and they walked together. He noticed her injured hand, but she didn't want him to interfere and told him to leave her in her misery. Still, he went to his house to get her some medicine and came back, telling her to take care of herself and stop being careless. Then he sat with her while she drank until she got drunk and told him she loved someone who didn't love her. She asked him if he could feel her pain while he sat there looking at her, hurting inside because he loved her too, even though he sometimes treated her badly. He carried her on his back to take her home, and she thought it was someone else and told him, "I love you," and kissed him on the cheek. As you can see, this was someone who had never been kissed in his life. So he threw her on the ground and said, "I'm Chi Yu, and I swear, if you mistake me for someone else again, I'll throw you in the trash can and never care about you." When they got to her house, he knocked a lot, but her mother didn't open the door, so he had to take her to his place, and of course, he was secretly happy about it. While she was turning in her sleep, she put her hand on him, but he moved it away and covered her. The next morning, she woke up startled when she found herself in a bed that wasn't hers, but then she saw Chi Yu sleeping on the floor. He woke up and told her she had gotten drunk, and he had to bring her here because no one in her family opened the door for him, and that she had been making a scene in the street. She asked him if she had blurted out anything while she was asleep, and he told her yes, she had said who she loved. She was about to sew her mouth shut, but he told her to calm down and that she hadn't really said anything, that a person couldn't even joke with her. Later, on her way to the university, she was waiting when Chi Yu suddenly appeared from behind. She gave him a plate of food her mom had made and told him she had decided to look for a job to help her family. She showed him an ad for a waitress job, but he told her, "A waitress? You'd eat the customer's food. You're not fit for that." She then showed him an ad looking for a PE teacher, and he said, "With the grades you had in high school? Did you forget you were competing for last place with Chen?" Then he pulled her by the hair, and she told him, "Will you shut up, or should I hit you where it hurts?" He replied, "So you admit it, huh?" She'd had enough and told him to give her back the plate of food, saying, "Nothing is worth giving you." One time, she went to meet Chung because he had asked her to come, but it turned out he wanted her to help him pick out a gift for Lin Yu so he could confess his love to her. She tried not to show she was upset and stood looking at a certain gift. He asked her if she liked it and decided to buy it. But suddenly, her eyes started to fill with tears without her realizing, but she pretended it was because dust had gotten in them. Then they walked together, but she couldn't take it and ran after him, telling him that she loved him and wished he would give her a chance to get closer to him. But of course, she was just imagining it. She decided to run after him and make her imagination come true. But Chi Yu called out to her and told her to come to him. She forgot all her fantasies when he told her he had found her a job at a supermarket. Later in the dorm, she was crying in her sleep, so Tao got worried and woke her up. She pretended to be fine and took Lin Yu's bag of clothes to give to her, but her roommate told her that Lin Yu had gone out on a date with her boyfriend. That upset her even more. Even when she was in the library, she saw them sitting together, and the sight only made her feel worse. That night, she cried to Tao and told her that he had never loved her, and that she had just been fooling herself. Tao hugged her and told her that very soon she would find a good guy. At the supermarket, our guy came up from behind her and told her, "If I were the boss, I would have fired you. You don't even know how to arrange things properly." But he was only teasing her. Then he took a pack of cookies off the shelf and opened it. She told him to stop being crazy, saying, "What if the customers see you?" He told her, "I'll pay for it and I'll eat my fill." He put the money in her pocket and gave her a cookie, telling her to eat it, saying no one would see her if she did. She ate it like it was nothing, even though she'd just been scolding him. One time, Lin Yu called her to say that her boyfriend wanted to invite her to have dinner with them, so she had no choice but to go. The shock came when she saw that her boyfriend was someone else entirely, and not Cheng. At that moment, Chung and Chi Yu also showed up surprised, and they all went to have dinner together because Lin Yu's boyfriend wanted to thank them for helping her and supporting her. Through it all, Chung was so shocked that he drank way too much and overdid it. So they took him home because he started rambling and talking about how Lin Yu had rejected him and fallen for another guy. Our girl was upset because even the guy she loved was in love with a girl who didn't love him back, but she tried to help him by writing him a message to comfort him. She went to the mailroom in the dorm and put it there, but unfortunately he didn't read it. She kept watching him at the field, and it was obvious he was depressed and not playing well. The coach told him to go back to the dorm and rest. After practice, our girl stood with Chi Yu, tossing him the ball, but one time she was distracted and threw it right in his face, making his nose bleed badly. He went to wash it while she was worried and panicking, saying she didn't mean it. He told her not to worry, that he was fine, and invited her to go eat. She sat there eating like a chicken and really enjoyed the meat, so he gave her his share, saying he didn't feel like eating it. He even ordered her a lot of food, but said he'd only done that because he was hungry, nothing more. That night, she wrote another message to Chung to comfort him, telling him that everyone goes through hard times, and when someone loses something, it's hard to forget. She said love is like salt in food, but a person can live without salt because there are other beautiful things in life. The next day, her message reached him, and he read it by chance. He was surprised because it was from an anonymous person and was different from the love letters he usually received. So he decided to reply with a message too. Of course, she was thrilled because he finally responded, and she could comfort him properly. At the field, they had practice, and June told our guy that he should take the chance and confess to her after training, saying, "What do you have to lose?" So after practice, he happily went to her and asked who the person she loved was, and if she still loved him now. She said that was all in the past, and that she had forgotten him. He was happy and went back to his place. At the supermarket, she was moving stock when our guy came to help her. She was about to fall, but he caught her, hit himself in her place, and got hurt. At that moment, he started to feel dizzy, so she took him to the hospital. The doctor told her it was just a small wound, but that he needed a blood test to find out why he got dizzy like that. She had to leave, and he went to do the blood test with Shendo since she was training at that hospital. They discovered that he had a phobia of blood. The next day, she went to see him, bringing food with her. She told him he needed to take care of his meals and medicine, scolding him because he didn't even eat breakfast. She gave him bread so he could have it for breakfast every day and stop being lazy. He hugged her and told her he was tired, asking her to stay like that for a while. At the library, she was sitting with Chung and June when our guy came in and waved to them, but then gestured that he was here to see Shendo and went to sit with her. It was clear they were close. June said it looked like he liked her, even though he knew he liked our girl, but he said that because he had fought with his girlfriend, Tao, who was jealous of Shendo. So he wanted to make trouble for our guy by getting our girl to tell her friend that June wasn't involved with anyone and that our guy liked Shendo, so it was impossible for him to love a girl his friend liked. When June went to tell our guy about the stunt he pulled, our guy said, "Are you crazy making up stories about me?" Meanwhile, our girl found out that Tao herself had sent a message to Chung pretending to be her, asking him to meet her that day. She rushed out to try to get the message before he saw it, but our guy came and grabbed her to explain that the whole liking Shendo thing wasn't true. She kept telling him, "Later, I'm busy right now." At that moment, June and Tao were also arguing, and she told him to leave her alone. But then he took out a small bottle, drank some blood, and spat it out like he was sick so she would run to him. As soon as our guy saw the blood, he fainted. At the hospital, his friends found out he had a phobia of blood and were shocked because his major was medicine. How could he have a blood phobia? But they decided they would help him. They went to his dorm wearing red and told him, "We're going to cure your phobia right now." He said, "You think you're helping me, but you're not curing me from the inside." Anyway, at the restaurant, she was sitting eating with our guy and Chung. She asked Chi Yu what he was going to do about his illness, but he wasn't interested. So she scolded him because he needed to take care of himself. He tapped her on the head and told her to eat and be quiet. Then she took him to the hospital so he could donate blood, and try to get over his phobia, but he kept pulling his hand away from hers, and she kept dragging him like a buffalo, refusing to go in. She dragged him in by force, and after they finished, they were going to leave, but she told him she would go alone. Turns out she was going to meet Chung because of the anonymous messages she'd been sending him, but she kept waiting and he didn't come. Then Tao came and told her, "Let's go, looks like he's not coming." But they left from here and he came from there. It was the worst timing ever, just like her luck exactly. One time she dragged our guy to watch her mom slaughter a chicken. He said to her, "Girl, you're like a devil. Why are all your ideas so morbid?" She told him, "Just sit and watch quietly." The moment he saw blood, he fainted and she caught him. At that moment, his father saw him and found out about his illness. He started scolding him for not telling them. At least they wouldn't have made him enter that major and put pressure on him. But he wanted to volunteer and make them happy, and he couldn't bring himself to speak. The next day, our guy stood watching her house until she came out, then pretended he was just coming out before her so she would walk behind him. He had a bouquet ready for her. She scolded him because that type of flower was bad luck, but he told her, "Bad luck? I chose it because it's beautiful, just like me." She was forced to take it and said, "Fine, if you hadn't said it's beautiful like me, I wouldn't have taken it." Our girl kept sending messages to Chung, and he kept replying without knowing who she was, until one day the blunt guy came and asked her what she was writing. He tried to see, so she put her hand on his chest to push him away, but he said, "Watch where you're putting your hand, miss, and move it." But it turned out there was ink where her hand had been because she had broken her pen, so he decided to take her the next day to buy a new pen for her. She was surprised he would buy her one. He told her, "Pick without talking," and she chose something with a plain color. So he took it from her and told her, "With your awful taste, we're not buying anything." She told him, "Then lend me 2 yuan so I can buy food from the cart." So he got annoyed and said, "All you care about is food, like a cow that just wants to eat." One day he was sitting thinking about our girl while holding movie tickets to ask her to watch it with him, but she came in without knocking and brought him a ticket for the same movie. He was happy and kissed the ticky idiot. But then Madam went and gave another ticket to Chen as well. He laughed because he remembered our guy telling him she gave him a movie ticket, and it seemed like she was starting to like him. But it turned out the ticket she gave our guy was so he would go out with Shendu. He got upset and sulky, and she told him, "It's my fault. I thought you liked her and wanted to bring you together." He asked, "Who told you I like her?" She told him about the pen she bought with him because she found the same one with Shendu. But of course, that was just a coincidence. Our girl is just stupid. He told her, "I might like you before I'd like Shendu." But she told him to watch his mouth. He pulled her aside and told her to stop with her matchmaking schemes, that he didn't want her setting him up with anyone. She invited him and said she'd take him to eat at a hot pot restaurant at her expense, telling him not to be sulky. He agreed and went to wear an ugly shirt he thought was stylish and styled his hair again, like that was going to make her look at him. On his way out, he saw Shendu telling her, "Don't forget what I told you," and she replied, "I'll help you solve this Chi Yu thing, don't worry." He thought she wanted to set him up with Shendu again, so he said, "All right, I'll show you," and decided not to go to her. But she went to the restaurant and kept waiting for him until the waiter asked her to leave if she wasn't going to order since there were many customers. She went outside to wait for him. At that time, he was in the library and saw Shendu coming to talk to him. He was surprised how she knew where he was and why she didn't go to the restaurant, but it turned out she had just come to the library by coincidence to buy a pen and knew nothing about the restaurant. He ran there and found our girl sitting outside, upset. And as soon as she saw him, she yelled at him, so he explained that he misunderstood and kept begging her to forgive him. She told him, "Isn't what you did to me enough? And what's with this shirt? It's hideous." On the day of the movie, she went to wait for Chen, but our guy stood watching her to find out who the idiot she liked was and why she was ignoring him. She waited a long time because Chen was with Lin Yu, whose leg was hurting, and he forgot about the movie, but the movie ended and she was still sitting there. Our guy approached her and told her, "Come on, let's go." But she refused and wanted to stay. He told her to stop being stupid, that he was taking advantage and wouldn't come. She got angry and went to yell at Chen because he hid and left her standing alone all that time. He tried to explain that Lin Yu wasn't feeling well, but she yelled at him more, saying that she had a boyfriend who could take care of her. But he told her she'd broken up with her boyfriend, so she got even more upset and walked away. She was about to bump into a man holding hot water, but Chen caught her, and she ended up falling into his arms. All this while, our guy was standing there, shocked that she liked Chen, as she held Chen's arm and cried. From then on, our guy treated him with disdain and picked on him during training as if he were an enemy. At the hospital, Chi Yu was at the doctor's to check how his condition was progressing. The doctor told him he had to change his major before the new semester started, so his condition wouldn't relapse again. When he left, our girl was sitting lost in thought, but as soon as she saw him, she asked what the doctor had said. He told her he was fine and not to worry without telling her the truth, and took her to eat at the university cafeteria. But then, Chen came over to sit with her and apologize for what happened. She accepted his apology, but he asked her to keep an eye on Lin Yu since she'd broken up with her boyfriend and needed someone to comfort her. At that moment, Chi Yu told her to get up and sit in front of him. She did, but as soon as she sat, he looked like he was about to commit a crime. But it turned out he just wanted to check Chen's arm. Then they started eating, and he put his piece of meat in front of her. One time, he was walking alone when she came up to him and asked what he was thinking about and kept poking at him because she felt he was upset. But then she suddenly saw Chen standing with Lin Yu, so she got upset. He noticed and told her, "If you keep standing here like this, I'll leave you and go." One day, they had a sports event, and our girl participated in the running competition, but Lin Yu participated too, so they were going to compete against each other. But that made her more distracted, and she didn't know whether to win or lose. But as soon as the race started, she saw Chen running and cheering for Lin Yu, and that distracted her even more. She fell to the ground while watching Lin Yu win and Chen clapping for her. Our guy ran to her, carried her, and took her to the clinic because she was injured in her leg and hand. The strange thing was that he wasn't afraid of the blood. On the contrary, he kept telling her, "Don't give up, you're no less than anyone, and it doesn't matter if he's close to her or not." He told her that he knew everything about her love for Chen, and that's why he would stay by her side and not leave her to her negative thoughts. Then he left to get something to treat her wound since there were no doctors available at the moment. Chen and Lin Yu came to check on her, but our guy told them she was fine. She was asked how she did in the race, and it turned out she came in second place. At night, our girl was sitting at home while her brother was teasing her. She told him to stay away before she hit him, and since their mom wasn't home, there was no one to protect him. On his way out, he ran into Chi Yu, who was coming to see why she was upset, or maybe he already knew why, and decided to take her to eat kebabs to cheer her up. While they were sitting, of course, Chen showed up. No idea why that guy always appears at the most critical moments. Our girl gave him some kebab, but Chi Yu took it and told him, "Go buy your own, you're not crippled." So Chen went to buy some, then came back saying he had a programming competition and might need their help. Our guy told him that in exchange, he should take them on a trip at his expense, and Jia and Zhou would choose the place. Chen agreed, of course. One time she was going home with our guy and they ran into Chen and Lin Yu by coincidence. Chen said she would be his partner in the competition. Then, while they were getting on the bus, it was crowded, but our guy pushed through so our girl could get in. When they got on, she was standing and staring at Chen. So he stood in front of her and told her, "Stop looking at them. Look at me. No one's as good looking as me." When they got off the bus, he grabbed her by the head and told her, "Come on now, stop thinking about them. He's not going to love you. You need to spend less time with him because he only sees you as a friend, nothing more." Anyway, when she was at home, she heard her brother saying to her, "You look like you have a crush on someone." But she told him, "Don't tell me Chi Yu told you." But Chi Yu hadn't said anything, her brother was just guessing. So she decided to go to our guy's house and ask him directly if he'd told Chen anything. Turns out he was a snitch. Just then, Chen came out from behind her and said, "Told me what? I don't understand." She quickly covered and said, "Oh, it's just that I'm going on a trip and wanted to borrow money from Chi Yu, but he told me to get it from you. I didn't want to because I thought you were saving money carefully." But Chen took out money and told her, "Of course not. Take whatever you need." She refused, so our guy told her, "Take it and get out of here already." Then she called out to him to bring the camera and come down to them since they were going on a trip together, but he had stolen that camera behind his family's back. She told him to hurry before he got caught. He took a bite of something and left. On the bus, he gave her a lollipop, which she took into her mouth. When they arrived, she kept taking lots of pictures of herself and the place. At night, they stayed at a small place with an old woman because they were broke and only had just enough money. But that night, while they were sitting, he suddenly told her, "Come, I have a surprise for you," and pulled out a sports textbook. She told him, "What's wrong with you? Even the devil wouldn't do this. We're on vacation." But 2 minutes later, he was hitting her on the head with the thing in his hand to make her focus. She'd had enough and was about to get up, but he pulled her, and by accident, she fell into his lap. He got flustered, gathered his things, and the next day she woke up to find him cooking. She went to stand with him, but he kept teasing her until her face got covered in flour. He stopped to wipe it off for her, but she grabbed some and covered him with it instead. He ran after her to get back at her. When they returned from the trip, she went to buy him something as a treat, but he exaggerated and said, "I'll take this, and this, and this, and this charity from Mother's money." Then, jokingly, he said, "I'll take this lollipop." She told him, "Wait, I'll tell you, I'm not that generous." At university, she went to check her results and came out upset. But our guy told her, "Hey, the results you looked at were for the physics department. Tourism is on the other side." So she went there happy and got even happier when she saw her own results. She came out and hugged him, and he lifted her and spun her around. With the arrival of winter, Chen wanted them to go up the mountain with him because he wanted to prepare a gift for Lin Yu, so she agreed to help him. She was also giving him good suggestions without being as affected as before. After they finished, our guy didn't just let the matter slide and decided to get her a gift. The next day at university, she was walking with Chi Yu and her friends when she saw Chang, her classmate in the department, calling her. He wanted to attend the New Year's Eve party with her, but our guy was annoyed, pulled her aside, and told her to tell him it's not possible because he didn't like him barging in. We'll pretend not to notice that he was jealous, but suddenly they saw Tao walking alone crying. When they went to find out, they learned that June had been cheating on her with another girl. So our girl told Chi Yu to teach his friend a lesson because if she saw him, she'd rip his head off. He told her not to worry. He'd crush him by the ears and find out why he did that. But trouble never ends. Chen came with another issue. Lin Yu was missing. They started searching everywhere for her until they found her. At night, our girl went up to the mountain to wait for Chen and Lin Yu so they could celebrate New Year's together. But our guy was preparing himself to confess his love to her before they arrived. As soon as she came, he went down to her excitedly and said, "You know?" She said, "Yeah, I know Chen isn't interested in me and loves her. I've memorized this line by now." He started to backtrack and didn't say anything until he overheard her saying she thought Chen liked her because of how much attention he gave her. But suddenly it turned out he liked someone else. So our guy told her, "Then you don't love him," and quickly took her up to watch the fireworks. He let her rest on his shoulder and told her, "I'll lend you my shoulder today," and asked her not to cry. He told her, "Happy New Year." One day she had organized a trip with a tourism company she was training at, and her colleague was helping her. But she discovered that our guy intended to join the trip to annoy her colleague and keep them apart. There was also a woman who hadn't arrived yet, and when both of them saw her, they turned into good Samaritans and grabbed her bag to help her. But in the end, our guy got on the bus and told the colleague, "Come after us on your bike if you're annoyed." She told him, "You're so annoying, why are you like this?" But then she told him she had a plan to make the trip special when they arrived, but she needed his help. She wanted him to act like her boyfriend and put on a little play for the atmosphere so people would enjoy it, but he was acting shy since it was his first time doing something like that. At night, when they were about to leave, they discovered 2 people had gone missing and kept searching for them until it started getting late. But the company called her and told her that they went home before them without informing them. She sat on the ground after crying because she was worried about them since they were a big responsibility, but our guy was comforting her and told her that the important thing was that the matter was resolved. She was happy because he had become very mature, unlike how he was in school, and that's why many people like him now. He told her, "What's the point if they like me, but the person I love doesn't love me?" She asked him who he loved and promised she wouldn't tell anyone. He said, "What would you do if it turned out I love you?" She laughed, not believing him, and said, "We're milk siblings. What kind of love are you talking about?" He told her he was joking and said, "Who would love you with that face that could end the yeast in the house?" Then he got up and decided to ride the bike back home with her since there was no transportation. He was so lost in thought the whole way that they almost fell into the canal and would have looked like Ramadan Mabruk Abul Alamein Hamuda coming out of the canal with his bike. Of course, poor guy still couldn't confess to her like a normal person. When they got back to the dorm, she found the bus guy from the morning waiting for her, so she thanked him for his kindness. But our guy was eating and grumbling to himself and told her, "So he's nice because he waited for you for 2 minutes here, and I, who dragged you like a cow all the way from there to here, don't even get a thank you." Then he left, leaving her with everything. The next day in class, Chen came and asked her to attend a medical school graduation party with him, but our guy came specifically to object and told her to go watch a movie with him instead. She refused because she was going out with Chang, but our guy wasn't going to let it slide. He went and tagged along at the party. As soon as he saw them getting up to dance, he went behind her and pretended to dance with Shindo, but he couldn't take it anymore. Chang was showing off in front of her, so he went and told him to respect himself and stop what he was doing. But our girl got annoyed and told him, "Not until you stop first," then went to sit down. After that, Chang got up to sing in order to confess his love to her, but our guy got up intending to stop him, and Shin was trying to calm him down. At that moment, John and Tao suddenly had a fight. This marriage was ruined. Ruined. And of course, when she went out after her friend, she was devastated because John had cheated on her and was still trying to get her back. So our girl decided to go back to him to yell at him, but our guy tried to calm her down. She almost tripped, but he grabbed her hand, and as soon as she went in, she found Chang right in front of her, about to confess his love to her. But Chio pulled her away and ran with her before she could be taken from him again. I love straightforward men like that. As soon as they stopped to catch their breath, she told him, "Are you crazy? What did you just do?" Her phone rang, but he snatched it from her. She tried to take it back, but he pulled her closer and decided to confess that he had loved her for a very long time. She told him he was crazy and ran away from him. The next day, he was waiting for her in front of the university, but she hid when she saw him and tried to walk next to some girls who were leaving. But he could spot the devil among a million, and he kept walking behind her. She felt like he was watching her, so she kept glancing back, but suddenly he came up behind her like a ghost and gave her back her phone. She told him to give her a chance to think, and he didn't mind letting her take her time, saying he would try to make her love and accept him more. When she was in the library, she called him to come to her and asked him to bring the cassette she had given him before so they could listen to it together. He was so happy that he ran to her with the cassette and put the earphones in her ears, but she pulled her head back so he could see the paper she had written, and on it, she wrote that she loved Chung, only the first letter of his name. He believed it because of her act, but Tao told him to go get her some water and pointed out what she had done because it was harsh on him. Then Lin Yu came and saw the paper and asked her who this C was that she loved, but Chio came and rescued her, saying, "That's me, my name starts with C. She and I are in a relationship." Of course, she was cornered and couldn't say no, and he was quick to say, "That's it, you're my girlfriend now. No objections allowed." Even on the field, when she went to talk to him, he told everyone she was his girlfriend, but she walked away and left him because she didn't like what he said. He followed her and asked, "What's wrong, Miss Grumpy?" She told him she didn't like lying to anyone and didn't want anyone to know except Lin Yu, but he said that since she agreed to act in front of Lin Yu, they should act in front of everyone that she was his girlfriend. At that moment, they saw Chung and Lin Yu, so he kept holding on to her and was about to tell him, but she kept pinching him so he'd shut up, and they walked past them while he complained, "Enough pinching, my body hurts." One time they were sitting in the library when a girl came to give him a letter, but he told her his girlfriend was sitting with him. Our girl got annoyed with him because this would make the whole university know. He told her that was good, this way no idiot among them would think about liking her. Then by chance, she looked at the university website and found a post saying they were in a relationship. She went to scold him, telling him to stop acting like a kid because she didn't love him and would never love him, that it was all just lies. But he couldn't take it and later went to her, pulling her forcefully out of the library, telling her the girl who had given him the letter was the one who posted it on the website and that he wanted to give their relationship a chance. But if she didn't want to, then fine. He started to walk away, but she told him to wait and said she was sorry. He couldn't control his feelings and went back to her, hugging her tightly, saying he might not be as good as Chung, but he wasn't bad either. She apologized to him again, but he told her to go out with him on a date and he'd forgive her. She agreed and ran off. One time she was walking with Tao, telling her she was embarrassed to be in a relationship with him, as if the guy was flawed, when in fact he was top-notch. But he was walking behind them and heard telling her not to worry, he'd make her forget that embarrassment completely. After that, he took her out to eat, but they ran into Chung there again. While they were sitting, Chung was putting food in front of Lin Yu, so our guy had to one-up him, and he said to her, "Eat, my love. You're so thin, you need to eat more," while she was about to explode from him and wanted to hit him with her shoe. So she took half the plate and shoved it in his mouth, saying, "You eat, my dear," and messed up his hair. After that, she decided to force him to come with her to Lin Yu and tell her that they had broken up, but he refused. She said, "Okay, how about I tell her we were never in a relationship?" But our guy didn't stay quiet and told her, "That's great. And tell her too that you love Chung, and I'll come with you to show you the way." They left upset, but she came back even more upset with him. He sat on the desk and asked her, "Just tell me, what did you think of yesterday's date?" She told him, "You're not romantic, you're like an annoying elementary school kid." He replied, "Yes, I'm annoying, and that annoying guy wants to watch a movie with you." She told him, "Serves you right, we'll watch a bloody horror movie. What do you think?" He agreed despite his fear of blood. The next day she felt sorry for him and decided to go look for him before entering the movie and told him, "Let's not go in." But he insisted on going in with her, so she kept covering his eyes every time a bloody scene came up until he pretended to faint. She tried to carry him, but instead he carried her and sat her on his lap. When she was about to leave, he apologized to her and promised not to do that again, giving her the popcorn and cola because he was afraid she might leave him, so he was making her stay with him like that. The next day, he went to bring her lunch and told her he would come to take her home after training. He felt guilty, and when he came to take her at night, she suddenly let go of his hand and told him, "Let's end this." He asked her, "What are you afraid of? I don't understand. Are you afraid I'll get attached to you and hurt you because of it? Or are you afraid that I might develop feelings for you?" But before you find out what she answered, let's go to the next day after that conversation, when she was going to him and brought them corn that her mother had made. She found him saying to them, "This is my girlfriend and we broke up." His mother was shocked and asked her, "Why did you break up? And when did you even start dating? We're completely unaware here." But he told her, "I'm joking. She's not my girlfriend or anything." She left upset and remembered yesterday when he said to her, "Are you afraid I might develop feelings for you?" But when she didn't answer, he told her, "I thought I'd turn out to be wrong, but it turns out you can't even look me in the face." That's why he decided to leave her alone. When they went to get on the bus, both of them were sitting with long faces, and Chung was standing there not knowing what was wrong with them until he found out they had broken up. He told them, "Don't worry, that's your usual pattern. You'll be back together tomorrow like nothing happened." And as soon as they got on, his mischief was in full swing, but our soft-hearted guy's mischief calmed down, and he lifted her bag for her. One time, Xia and Zhou were walking, and she saw Lin Yu sitting with her ex-boyfriend. It was clear they were talking things over, and the guy came back regretful and asking for forgiveness. She started worrying about Chung, and her concern turned out to be right, because that night, she was standing with him, and they were both crying because Lin Yu had found out that her boyfriend Dean had left her because he wanted to travel for his future, but his hand got injured, and he could no longer play music. They hugged each other, and then Chung arrived, and it was a scandal to the point that he ran over and hit him. But Lin Yu yelled at him, telling him his hand is injured, stay away from him. So he ran off, not believing she had used him like that. As for our girl, she went to Chi Yu to ask him about Cheng, but he told her, "You still have that habit? Forget about him already." She told him that she had seen Lin Yu with her ex-boyfriend at the cafe, and that's why she was worried about Chung. But Chung was standing behind them and heard her. Our guy quickly stepped in, trying to comfort him and stand by him, and because of that, Chung reconsidered and went to talk to Lin Yu. He told her he wasn't there to blame her. He wanted her to be happy, and whatever her final decision was, he would respect it. Then he left without another word. And even though she was sad about losing him, she couldn't continue with him because she loved her ex-boyfriend. And our girl went back to her old ways and her favorite hobby, which was comforting Chung. She thought about going back to sending him messages like before, but he asked to have lunch with her to thank her. It turned out he knew she was the one who had been sending him messages, that she loved him, and he thanked her for standing by him. He told her that her words had been what kept him going during that whole time, but at the same time, he made it clear that she was like a sister to him. She told him, "I don't want you to love me, don't worry, I've forgotten about that, and now I see you as my brother and my close friend." He was happy with her words, and they went back to eating. While she was eating, sauce fell on her clothes, so he went to get her an apron to wear. But of course, it just had to happen that our guy walked in on them in that situation. Honestly, if I swore to you that he was just putting the apron on her, you wouldn't believe me. Anyway, Greedy John left the action that was happening and went to reach for the food, but our guy kicked him and walked away. She told him that if she wanted him to go explain the misunderstanding to him, he would, but she refused because they had already broken up. He told her, "You silly, goofy girl, you still have a chance to make up with him. Come on, hurry up." So she got up and followed him, and they sat talking calmly, until he told her he had received a scholarship, which made her worry. But she pretended to be classy and composed and told him, "It's okay, my dear. Travel for your own good." He got upset and told her, "I knew you didn't care." But the next day, he went to make up with her on the field and told her, "I know I was harsh in my words yesterday, but I'm afraid of losing you, and I want to know if you care about me or not. Forget about your future and all that scientific talk that just causes stomach aches. I'm going to succeed here in my country even if I don't travel, but if I do travel, we won't have a future together." He got closer to her and said, "Tell me the truth." She told him, "Step back." He thought she was embarrassed, but she told him, "Embarrassed? From what? It's just not appropriate because we're in a public place." He held her neck to check her pulse and told her, "Your heartbeat gave you away, miss." She got up nervously and told him, "Go ask your dear mother about your trip, not me." He told her, "I know you love me and I'll get you, just wait." One day, she was traveling to organize a trip and happened to meet Chung there by chance. While they were in the market talking normally, a man pulled her bag and ran. He ran after him, shouting for them to catch him until he fell. She asked him if he was okay, but told him that even so, he shouldn't be reckless and run after him. Still, he ran after the thief until he managed to get the bag back. She was sitting there crying and worried about him, so when he came back, she felt relieved and opened her bag to check on the pin our guy had given her. He told her, "See, you love Chi Yu. You didn't even look at your money when you got your bag back. You went straight to check on the pin he bought you." He advised her to go back to him and not waste the chance because travel wasn't important and it wouldn't make a difference between them even if he traveled. What mattered was that they loved each other. She thanked him for standing by her and decided to actually go back the next day and confess her love to him. But while she was on the bus, the pin fell from her and got stepped on. She got off feeling upset. At the same time, our guy was already on his way to the airport. By the time she returned home, they told her he had traveled. She ran to the airport, but there was no hope. He had already left. She went back feeling sad and regretful that she was late. She went to his family to get his new number, but they told her he hadn't settled there yet, so there was no number. She could send him an email, but even when she did, he didn't reply. Days passed until she saw his photo with Shindo, and only then did she realize she had lost him because of her stupidity and had hurt him badly. The days passed gloomily for her until she graduated, but even then, she hadn't forgotten him for a moment. She remembered the 4 years they spent together, both the good and the bad. Of course, she worked as a tour guide and became very famous in her field. As for Chung, he opened a small company within his means and achieved great success, and John the Reckless went into singing, dancing, and fooling around. One day, Auntie, Xiaoyu's mother, invited Chung to their house for dinner. She asked him, "So, aren't we going to celebrate you soon?" It turned out she was hinting at marriage, and not just any marriage. She wanted to marry him to our girl. But Xiaoyu tried to stop her, telling her, "Eat, Mom, and get some nourishment, you look hungry." Then she went down with him to see him off, and they talked a bit about our guy. He asked her if she still loved him. She said there was no point anymore because the years had passed and he was far away, so he must have loved someone else by now and wanted to marry her. But he told her, "You never know what the future holds." The next day, at the company, they were expecting an important client, so she went in to meet him. And guess who it turned out to be? Ed Yoon, you already know, no need to say. But the guy had completely changed. New hairstyle, suits, the works. And guess what? He came to ask her to find him a nice place so he could confess to his new girlfriend. She refused, of course, so he said, "Good, since your boss has already signed the contract, let me go tell him and we'll see how he handles the penalty clause." She was forced to agree despite feeling crushed that he had come back without even greeting her, not to mention bringing another woman. She chose for him the resort they had gone to back in school, but now it was much more developed than before. Then they saw a woman selling accessories, so he decided to try the hairpin he had once bought for her on her hair, but then he threw it away and took another one. She snapped at him because she thought he was going to give it to her, but he told her, "Why would I give it to you? Are you my fiancé, my girlfriend, or are you just trouble being thrown at me for no reason?" She went back to the hotel angry and stomping on the ground. That night he booked a table for the two of them and a romantic dinner. He said he was there to confess to his girlfriend. Yeah, right, as if. She thought to herself she was your girlfriend and you could never like anyone else, so let's not kid each other. But our girl was foolish and thought he was playing with her while being in a relationship. She got up and left, but when he tried to catch her, she pushed him into the pool. She was going to leave him there, but remembered he didn't know how to swim, so she went in to pull him out and tried to give him first aid. He woke up and told her, "Aren't you supposed to give me the kiss of life now?" But she told him, "Yeah, right, as if I haven't carried you enough already," and she went back to her room. The next day, a girl came to her with a frame and left her a message from him, along with a gift, which of course was the bracelet he had bought yesterday. In the message, he told her to wait for him on the beach. She ran there and kept looking for him, waiting with hope that maybe he really loved her. But then he called and told her he couldn't come. She exploded and cursed him, saying he was playing with her and taking revenge on her this way. One day they were holding a small party for Tao, because her wedding was tomorrow. But our guy showed up at the party, so she got up angrily, saying the atmosphere suddenly felt suffocating. When she went outside, she tried to calm down so she wouldn't ruin her friend's joy. Then they saw their old school friend, Chen, walking in, and the shock was that Tao was marrying him, and none of them knew. It turned out that after she broke up with John, she had disappeared and no one knew anything about her. One of the girls then said to Chi-Yu, "So, you knew about their wedding too, and I'm the fool here?" But he thought she was just upset with him, so he teased her, saying, "Our relationship is so good that I'd come and tell you?" That led to another fight between them, until she drank a lot. He took her to the room, but when he came close to wipe her face, she suddenly opened her eyes and told him she missed him. He asked her, "Do you even know who I am?" She said, "Chi-Yu," then leaned in and kissed him. The next day, she woke up startled. It was Tao's wedding day. She got ready and went to the wedding, feeling happy for her lifelong friend who was getting married. And as for John, the silly one, he was just standing outside watching them. Then they stood for the bouquet toss, and it ended up in our girl's hands. Chen told him, "Come on, confess to her now." And Tao held on to her so she wouldn't walk away from the long aisle. At that moment, our guy stood at the end of the aisle and confessed his love to her. He told her he didn't want to spend another moment of his life away from her. He came closer and proposed to her. And finally, if I told you that we were done with them and they were getting married, you'd understand they'd been nothing but a headache, like a weight on the heart. And of course, I'd like to send a message to the heroines of dramas. When you've got the right guy in front of you from the start, don't go loving the wrong ones. Go get your vision checked because we're the ones who suffer watching you. Thank goodness our drama is over. Happy holidays to you all. Hope you enjoyed your Fatah and meet during Eid. Peace. Don't forget to subscribe for more. Check out more recaps you'll absolutely love right here.